I hate the fact that this is not still on the air to this day. Hey everybody, this video does once again bring us down here into the library because where else would I be during quarantine? And today we've got some thrifting reviews. We're going to take a look at a few titles I've recently checked out, and I say that because some of these date back to before I even went down to Walt Disney World at the beginning of March. So we are actually getting into March, which is good, but we still have a little ways to go. I am getting caught back up with all my reviews. So let's dive into these, let's get into March, and we'll take a look at what I've, again, recently checked out. Alright, so first title up here is Johnson County War. Now, as I've stated to you guys before, I'm actually a big fan of Westerns. I don't watch enough Westerns for some reason, even though every time I watch a Western, I just love it. There's something about the Wild West that I'm really into. I would never want to actually live in the Wild West. Looks like a horrible, awful, just garbage place to live. Would never want to do it. I'm not a frontiersman, man, even though I am a country bumpkin in heart, and the fact that I don't like living around a lot of people, it's not my lifestyle at all. But I love to watch it on the big screen, or my 70-inch screen anyway. So, yeah, I loved this movie. It's about a bunch of settlers during, in Wyoming, back when it first became a state, and they were giving out land, and there were all these, like, cattle rustlers, and they wanted to, like, boot all these settlers off their land and basically steal their land. And we got three brothers here who actually said, no, the heck with that. We're going to stand up for ourselves and go after these cattle rustlers and kind of start this war. And it was such a good movie. It was a great story. And what really drove this was the actual the cast. I mean, Tom Berenger, Luke Perry, Rachel Ward, Burt Reynolds. I mean, there's so many good people in this movie. That's only just some of them too. I mean, every time another person would pop up, I'm like, oh, he's in this movie and she's in this movie and that person's in this movie. Like, it was one great cast member after another. So the cast alone might just sell you on this movie. So it's definitely one to see. If you are into Westerns or just you want a good story just in general, Johnson County War is one to check out. Again, very interesting story based on a true story as well, and a phenomenal cast. So I would highly recommend this one. I don't know why it took me so long to watch it. It's been sitting on my shelf probably for, I don't know, a couple years now. Finally pulled it off, checked it out, and I am so glad I did. The next movie I checked out was A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and this is a movie that I was just so excited to see because, well, I grew up watching Mr. Rogers, and as soon as I found out there was a Mr. Rogers movie, I was very excited. But I know a lot of people out there liked the movie but had an issue with the movie, and I understand what that issue is and the fact that it's not really a Mr. Rogers movie per se, because I think going into this, most people assumed, oh, it's a Mr. Rogers biopic, you know, how he started out, how he grew the show, you know, what happened to him. Like, it's a story of the life of Mr. Rogers, and that is not the case. It's based on a true story about this this news reporter who was doing this news article on Mr. Rogers, but he was a reporter who was known for not painting people in the best light, kind of trying to find the worst in people, even great people, trying to find the worst of them and make an article, making them not look like the best people and giving you kind of a different view of people. And he was tasked to interview Mr. Rogers and write an article about him. And apparently Mr. Rogers like really wanted to have him do the article because I guess he knew what kind of articles this guy wrote, and I guess thought there was something maybe there he could help him out with. And it's a story about how basically Mr. Rogers ended up helping out this this reporter kind of find a better light, if you will. The reporter definitely had issues, family issues, personal issues, all kinds of problems, not the happiest guy in the world, and Mr. Rogers sort of showed him the light, if you will, and made him a better person. And it's a really, really good, touching story. So, no, it's not a Mr. Rogers biopic that, again, I think a lot of people went into this movie assuming it was. Even I, at first, thought that's what it was until I had heard some reviews and heard some people talk about the movie, and they're like, it's not really a Mr. Rogers movie, and I kind of knew what I was getting into when I went into this movie. But regardless, it's still a really great story, and if you were a fan of Mr. Rogers, you're probably going to love this one, because it does show the kind of character he was. And from what I've seen in other articles written about him and other little bios about him and stuff like that, it seems like that's the kind of guy he was. He was just a really nice, down-to-earth guy, always out there to help somebody and to find the best in people, and just seemed like a genuine saint. I mean, seemed like such a nice person who, had his own flaws. I mean, the guy wasn't, Mr. Rogers wasn't a perfect man. He had his issues. Again, I've seen documentaries and I've read some about him, and he has a past and he has some things, but he didn't let that get him down and didn't let that ruin stuff and didn't let that stop him from helping other people. So it's great that Mr. Rogers, again, kind of a sort of an everyman in not a lot different from you and I, but could just be so positive and help so many people out and be such a great influence to people, especially this reporter who was interviewing him. So, again, great movie. I love this one. It actually, it had me tearing up at some points. I think it's probably going to do that to most people, especially, again, if you grew up with Mr. Rogers. There are probably parts of this movie, especially towards the end, where you're gonna feel those eyes, welling up with getting sweaty with respect, if you will. So yeah, I loved it, and Tom Hanks was fantastic as Mr. Rogers, of course. I mean, it's Tom Hanks. Can that man do any wrong? So yeah, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I would highly recommend this one. Just like I said, don't go into it expecting a biopic of Mr. Rogers. That's not what it is. But regardless, it's still a fantastic movie and one you have to see. Alright, so right before I headed down to Walt Disney World at the beginning of March, there was something I really wanted to finish up watching, and that was Ash vs. Evil Dead, the complete series. I thought I had only seen season 1 of this, and it turns out after watching this, I'd actually seen season 1 and 2. So I had gotten around to watching season 1 and 2, I guess, I don't know, a couple of years ago. I think back when they came out, I watched them. Either I had them on DVD or I watched them on Netflix or somewhere. I watched them somewhere. I really wanted to see the show, so I sat down and watched season 1 and 2. And I think I remember marathoning them, but I never got around to seeing season 3, so finally checked it out. And I actually did rewatch season 1, season 2, season 3. I rewatched the entire series. This show is so good. I hate the fact that this is not still on the air to this day. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead trilogy, I mean Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, if you're a fan of those, this is perfect. I mean, it does such a great job of paying homage to them, and it really feels like you're watching a continuation of those stories, because sometimes I've seen TV series based on movies, and it doesn't feel the same. It feels like you're watching a TV series based off a movie franchise. It feels like TV. It doesn't quite have that same feel, if you will. There's just something about it that, might be good. It's not necessarily that it might be a bad show. It's just, it doesn't, it feels different. You can go, okay, those are the movies. That was the TV show. They're different. This, what's the difference? I mean, it honestly feels like a direct 100% continuation of the films. It is full of just great horror, fantastic special effects. They do use some CGI at times, but I feel like they kind of use it where it's more needed. They use a ton of practical special effects. The characters are great. There's a ton of humor in this. I mean, Ash just has me cracking up laughing so much throughout this. So many other new great characters come in. I mean, Xena, the warrior princess, is in this. Not as Xena, of course. I mean, again, so many fantastic characters coming into this show and just making it this amazing, fantastic universe. And some people, I think, for season 3 and... do I want to do a bit of a spoiler here? Okay, there's a new character, a new female. I'll try to dance around this. A new female character that comes into season 3, and I had heard rumors that female character was supposed to actually be a different female character, but they brought a different female character in. I'm trying to dance around this. Sorry if it gets confusing. And some people weren't happy about that. I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought that new character that came into the movie came into the franchise, came into the TV series, actually made sense and made for some fun moments in season 3. I liked her character. And I mean, when that season ends, and it ends so epically as well. Season 3, I mean, you almost think the story's like over, because I mean, they actually do kind of bring it to an end, and then it kind of gives you this cliffhanger where they were going to go into a season 4. Luckily, though, I will say that it does end so epically in season 3 that that even though we didn't get a season 4, it still feels, it does feel kind of like closure, even though we do see that things maybe didn't work out quite the way Ash had planned, and the story is going to continue on. Even though we see that and it does kind of end on a cliffhanger, it still, in a way, feels enough like closure, I guess you could possibly say. But why did this not continue on? Apparently, season 4, from what I've been told, was supposed to be like Ash set in like an apocalyptic world. So basically, Ash, so the Evil Dead franchise set in like Mad Max world. That's what I had heard that they were going to try to basically do. Evil Dead meets Mad Max was going to be like season 4. That sounds amazing. But apparently there was like an issue with Starz and Netflix, and there was some, from what I had read, there was some like conflict with between those two companies, and because of that, that's why the series got canceled. Because supposedly the ratings were great. It wasn't like nobody was watching the show, and that's why they canceled it. No, apparently it was like some internal stuff with the two companies. I'm like, that is so stupid. Like, you have this great show that's amazing. I mean, this is one of the greatest TV series. I'm gonna say that, one of the greatest TV series I've ever seen in my entire life. This is so good, so much fun, and again, one of the best TV continuations of a movie franchise I've ever seen as well. So you get this fantastic series, and then it ends because of some internal conflicts, because people just can't agree on stuff and get along. I hate it. That's awful. I mean, Bruce Campbell even said after the cancellation that he's done playing Ash. Now I hear rumors that maybe he's not. Maybe there's gonna be another movie or something. I don't know. I've heard rumors that maybe him saying that was not 100% true. Maybe he will be coming back to reprise his role of Ash, which I really hope happens. That would be great. I'm fingers crossed, because I love the movies. I love the series. I would love to see that character go on. Whatever they do, if they do another movie, I would love to see maybe if there was some way to continue it on. Maybe it is Ash in an apocalyptic world. Maybe they do continue the series into another movie. I mean, that would be great. Something. I don't know. Anything. Let's just get more Evil Dead, because if it's anywhere near as good as this, I can't wait. So if you haven't seen Ash vs. Evil Dead, do it now, immediately. I mean, I believe the entire series on DVD and Blu-ray, either format, I believe are both actually fairly cheap now. You can get your hands on them for a pretty good price, and it's 100% worth your money. You're gonna love it. I marathoned these. I was staying up till like 6 o'clock in the morning because I just didn't want to stop watching. I watched one episode and then another. I'm like, what time is it? Oh, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. No, I'll watch a couple more. And next thing I knew, it was like the sun was coming up, because I couldn't stop watching it. So I've been talking about this for like 20 minutes now. So Ash vs. Evil Dead. Oh my gosh, see it. It's fantastic. I want more. Please give us more Evil Dead. Alright, now for probably my most asked for review. So many of you guys, ever since I said I was watching this, I think I said I was going to watch it in a live stream, and then like a couple nights later actually posted about me actually watching it on my social media. And ever since then, just everybody's been asking me, what did you think of this movie? Haunt. I mean, I liked it. It was great. I don't necessarily get why everybody out there wanted me to review this one. I didn't think it was that good, but it still was a great movie about these people going to a haunted house, and it essentially turns out to kind of be real. It's one of those haunted houses that's supposed to be like super extreme, where they basically, they can touch you and almost kind of torture you, if you will. There actually, I guess there was a true story, like was it just last Halloween, where there was basically, for the most part, a torture house where they were like waterboarding people and making people eat like their own hair and doing really horrible things to people that they signed off for on a waiver. It got shut down, rightfully so. I mean, that's crazy. But essentially that, but to the extreme of them actually murdering people. So it's an interesting horror movie. I mean, for a more like low budget independent horror movie, it's very well done. It's one of the best. It's amazing how good this is compared to some more like bigger budget movies. I mean, there's so many like horror movies out there nowadays, and some of them put out by like big major studios. This is put out by, I don't even know, Momentum Pictures. Oh, I guess Universal. I don't know if Universal like actually put this out, or I guess Universal just maybe distributed it, I guess. Oh yeah, they have the distribution rights, so I guess that's how they get their name on here. Otherwise, I guess they had nothing to do with it. But like big companies like Universal and other companies like that put out these $1 million horror movies, and they're just boring, and they're bad, and they're unimaginative, and just they're horrible movies. And then you got a more lower budget movie like this, and it's actually fun, which just goes to show you don't have to go too over the top and crazy. Just keep it simple. What's the saying? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Like, just do that. Keep it easy, keep it simple, keep it fun, and you can have a really good movie, and Haunt was really good. So I do understand the fact that people really like this movie, and I get why they liked it, because, again, it is, for a modern-day horror movie, it actually is a pretty good one. Again, it didn't blow me away. I didn't watch this one and go, oh my gosh, this is the greatest horror movie of modern times. You gotta see this film. I didn't think that, but still, I did love it, and as far as modern-day horror movies go, it is one of the better ones, so I would definitely recommend checking this one out. And a lot of you guys really like this movie, so if my recommendation of watching it and all of your guys' recommendations of you loving it is anything to say anything, I guess see this movie. So if you haven't seen it yet. So Haunt, yeah, I would recommend checking this one out. Again, it was good. I enjoyed it. Fun movie. Bunch of people go into a haunted house, and doesn't end up so well for them, but it's fun. So yeah, Haunt, yeah, see this one. So then I watched another movie I was really excited to see because I had heard such great things about it, 1917. And I was not let down, but also not necessarily blown away either. I went into this movie with really high expectations just because I've been hearing such great things about it, and I guess it won a bunch of awards, and everybody loved this movie. I liked it. It was a great story about these two guys having to stop an attack from happening. They're basically told, you guys have to go through no man's land, go into enemy territory, and get to this other platoon of soldiers who are about to attack like in the X amount of hours. It's basically a suicide mission. There's probably no way you're gonna make it, but you got to go try to stop this because if they actually attack, it's a trap. It's a trap set up by the Germans. If the British soldiers attack, they're all gonna get slaughtered. They're all dead. So these two men, again, have to go through no man's land, have to go through enemy territory, and have to get to this platoon of soldiers who are going to attack. And it's a really intense story because it has some twists and turns. Like, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but there's one point in this movie where something happens to somebody that I did not see coming. I thought it might happen, but not to the character it happened to. I was kind of surprised by that, actually. I didn't see that coming. So it did actually throw me for a loop at one point in the movie. But it's kind of a simple story. It's not like, let's say, Saving Private Ryan, where it's this whole big, epic story with all these great characters and so much going on. This is a pretty simple story of people having to get from point A to point B, and what they're going through to get there. But what's interesting about this movie is the fact that it's all kind of continuously shot. Now, it's not actually all continuously shot. There are cuts, but it's made to look like it's in real time from when they actually leave the trench they're stationed in to go to the other trench to stop the platoon from attacking. I don't know if platoon's the correct word to use. I'm not an army man. Probably not. But you know what I'm trying to say. So when them trying to go to point A from point B, it's actually shot like it's actually taking place all in one big continuous shot. It's very interesting how they do that, and it makes for a really interesting story, but in the sense where it's just, kind of what they're going through, but it's not some big epic story. It's just simply them trying to get through, no man's land, and there's bombs going off, and there's soldiers that are attacking them, and they come across some enemies at times, and they come across other people. So it's this whole, again, pretty intense story of them getting from point A to point B, or at least trying to anyway, and what they go through. So it's a really good story. I mean, it's well done. It's a great story, and I would highly recommend this one. If you're into war films, this is one worth checking out. And I love the fact that it's also based around a World War I story, which is something you just don't see. I mean, how many World War II movies are out there? World War I movies? You don't see enough of them. So I'm happy to see another World War I movie out there. I like it. The Great War, I guess, as they call it. Or they did call it until World War II anyway. But getting off topic now. So yeah, great movie. Definitely recommend checking it out. Not as good as I was expecting. I mean, again, it's the fact that it is a simple story. I think that's what didn't blow me away, is the fact that the story, it's good, it's told well, it's shot beautifully. It's a pretty basic story. It's a pretty simple story. Nothing overly amazing necessarily happens within this story, but it is interesting to watch these characters and what they're going through. So in 1917, yes, check it out. Again, I'm not trying to put this movie down. I'm not trying to say it's a bad movie. It's not. I loved it. I highly recommend this film. This is one you should definitely see. But if you've been hearing it's like the greatest movie ever, I don't know if I would quite go that far. That's kind of what I've been hearing from some people. So, 1917, awesome, check it out, good movie. I liked it. No, loved it. And the last movie on today's list was A Simple Favor. And I actually sat down and watched this one with the wife because she really wanted to check it out as well. And we both very much enjoyed this film. I didn't really know what to expect going into this movie because I only had kind of a brief idea of what it was about. And it very much surprised me because this movie kept me guessing the entire time. I had no idea where it was going or who was doing what, and I loved that. Kind of a plain Jane, simple mom meets this, reckless, wild mom, kind of a hot shot, and they very much clash, but they kind of also end up becoming friends and getting along. But you find out why that's happening, and maybe it was for a whole big setup. And like I said, the movie throughout keeps me guessing of who is doing what, because it's this whole big thing where you're like, okay, this I guess is a setup, right? And you're not even sure at times if this is actually a setup. You figure they're setting people up for something, but at the same time you're like, well maybe they're not. Maybe that's not what's going on. But then you're like, okay, well, is that guy involved with what's going on? I don't. Okay, was she involved? Well, who's this character and how are they involved? Like, you just don't really know what's going on and where it's going to go because you don't know who's doing what and who's involved with what and what the whole idea is until the very end. And this movie did keep me guessing until the very end, and I wasn't sure where it was going to go. I wasn't sure how it was going to be hopefully resolved. I didn't know where this one was going, and it's very rare that I watch a movie where 20 minutes in I don't already know the ending of the movie, because I mean, you watch thousands of movies, you can kind of start to pick up on where things are going, and I'd say 9 times out of 10 within 20 minutes of a movie I kind of already have an idea of how the movie is going to play out, and very rarely does a twist or turn come where I'm like, oh, I didn't see that. But this one, it had me guessing. Again, I wasn't quite sure who was doing what and where things were going and what the whole plot was until the very end. So, A Simple Favor, I would recommend this one. I'm not going to say it blew me away. I'm not going to say it's one you have to see, but if you're interested in checking this one out, it will keep you entertained. I would say yes, this is one to see. It kept me guessing, and it's very rare that a movie does that to me. So, Simple Favor, yeah, this is one to see. The only thing I really dislike about this movie is the artwork, because Blake Lively, yeah, that's how she should be dressed. It makes sense for her character. I mean, her character is, again, very, very high-end, very proper, very big, this big time works for this big company. But Anna Kendrick here, that's not how she should be dressed. There is a moment in the movie where she is dressed like that, but it's for a different reason. Like, she's playing dress up. That doesn't make sense. I kind of wish they would have had her sort of plain Jane on the front like she is in the entire rest of the movie. That would have made more sense. So yeah, I don't really care much for the artwork. The only thing that bugs me, the artwork. I don't like it. But otherwise, the movie in itself is great. So yeah, would I recommend this one? Yes. See this movie. It was a great watch. I really did enjoy it. Again, the wife enjoyed it as well. We would both definitely recommend this one. Like I said, did it blow me away? No, but it did keep me guessing, and I do appreciate that. So a simple favor, if you're interested in checking this one out, then I would say see it. All right, guys, so there you go. Another 6 titles down. We are getting caught back up. Like I said, we're now into the beginning of March. So, I don't know, 1 or 2 more review videos, and we should be all caught up, which is great. I am going to be doing a lot more of these videos for you guys. You guys seem to enjoy these videos. I want to keep these videos coming, and no more slacking on my part. We're going to get ourselves caught back up. So thank you guys so much for checking out this video. As always, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and of course, check down below for links to Patreon, Spreadshirt, and the Cinema Sickness store. It came from Cinema Sickness, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.